Hi everyone, it is Jenny giving you an update on my HCG journey, round two. Round two never goes as great as round one, at least my round twos. And I don't know, I have to really do a lot of self analyzing. Is it because I am just making poorer choices? Or is it my body kind of fighting losing the next group of weight? I guess, when you lose over 17 pounds in a month, your body could say, whoa, horsey, afterwards, but I mean, essentially, in this round two, I've lost nothing, I've gained. I haven't gained. It's not true. I gained in the month that I was off. And this month, I am losing everything that I gained in that previous month, but I was like, what, point three away, point two away, point one away, something like that yesterday from being where I was at the end of losing that 17.8 pounds. And then the scale happened today. I stepped on it and it said a gain of 1.8. And my scale arrived yesterday. So I have two scales to step on. Interesting. When I talked to you before about the fluctuation in my weight throughout the course of a day and so on and so forth, this is the reason I bought a new scale and went and invested in a new scale. Also has some other body composition stuff in that. I don't know how accurate those numbers are, but I really just wanted a good scale and it kept saying that this one's really accurate. I will agree that this one is very close to what my other one is saying. Both of them also, when I got on them in the morning, I weighed a certain something something after going to the bathroom. So I had to wait. And then I went and I started to get ready and I went to go on the scale again. And for some reason, I just feel lighter as I get going. I literally have done nothing other than spray down my hair so that it's wet, which is weight, um, and put on my makeup, which technically would be weight, not that you're going to actually notice it, but I mean, it's something that could be soaking into your system with like moisturizers and all that, because with HCG, you're not supposed to be having any foundations or anything like that. Um, and then I get back on the scale again and it's less. Both scales said the same thing this time. Both of them. So it's not just that one scale being weird. Now I have two scales. I gotta figure out which one I'm gonna give to my daughter to take with her to her apartment when she starts vet school. Because I'm just gonna keep using both of them. Keep seeing they are about zero point 0.2 pounds off from each other. Um, the new one that I got says that I'm actually zero point 0.2 less than what the other one says. But then, and that's what it said yesterday when I first opened them up and I weighed myself. Then this morning I was zero point 0.2 off. Then the one that I had been using all of a sudden went down like zero point 0.5, where the other one went down like zero point 0.3. So I took the weight on the negative zero point 0.5 one because it still put me at a gain of 1.8. Still doesn't explain a 1.8 gain, I know. I was a little nervous about the scale today. I'll tell you what. Yesterday was the first day I actually was feeling myself. I was feeling really good. Felt like I was starting to look decent-ish in my clothes again. I had a little bit more energy when I was moving about. I have a terrible, huge blister where the skin came off and it was deep on the back of my heel from walking all day at Cedar Point. Didn't anticipate to be walking all day in an amusement park. I thought I was going to be at a water park, sitting back, relaxing. So anyway, I had this massive wound on the back of my heel. So it really prevented me from doing much in the gym. But yet, I felt like I had enough energy to do some of the arm weights. I think I just did 3 machines. But nevertheless, I did something while I was at the gym. Um, and then I noticed we were talking about hunger and how I haven't felt hungry. I felt hungry. First time I felt hungry. And I'm like, I had my drops this morning and it's not really time yet for the afternoon drops. And then yeah. And then feeling kind of passed. It's very interesting how hunger can come in cycles, in waves, at least for me. And it can pass if you can allow yourself to get over the hump and get distracted with other things. So, yeah, so my stomach was I could feel it. It wasn't growling per se, but I could just feel the tension in it. Like it was really tight inside, like it was empty, and it was kind of like, hey, where's the food? I took HCG around the middle of the day, and then I was fine and all the way. And I kept myself very busy yesterday. And then at 4 o'clock, I'm like, oh, I get to eat. All right. I ended up making a big salad. Why did I make a salad as opposed to the other stuff that I normally would eat? I made a salad because I have a lot of lettuce still left over from this retreat that I took, which is going to go bad. I have it all cut up. It's all like, it was all in like big, gallon bags. And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to last very long. So I dumped a ton of it into a huge bowl, like a lot of just lettuce in there. And then I thought, well, okay, I can't just eat this lettuce. I had to put something on it. So I sprinkled some mozzarella cheese on it. And then I had the grilled chicken breasts, which aren't that big. They're more like planks. It's not a full breast, but normally I would eat one of those as like my snack, or I have to have a second protein in the day. I cut up two of them to put into the salad. I started mixing it in, and they just disappeared. The amount of lettuce I had was so significant. So I cut up a third piece, and I put it in there. And then, of course, I had to have enough salad dressing, my honey mustard dressing, to coat it so that each bite wasn't just like eating just lettuce, like eating grass. I put very little on. In fact, I ate about half of it with very little bit, and then did have to go back and add a little bit more to finish it out because it was getting to feel like I was eating grass. But the kicker, the thing I should have never, ever, ever done, and because my numbers were good yesterday, and because I feel like I've been doing pretty good for the past almost 2 weeks on this diet, even though the numbers aren't reflecting it, I feel like I have been making sacrifices and eating really well. I threw in a handful of croutons. I really thought at the time as I was doing it too that I was justifying getting this, that it's been a while and I've been okay and I've been having like these snacks with net carbs in them and my weight hasn't been that great. No, let's face it. This round two, I have lost the weight that I had put on, but not even completely because now we're back up again. About 2.5, 2 to 3 pounds over where I was. So essentially, even though I've lost weight, if I think of it in terms of where I ended at round one, I've lost nothing in this round. And that's really the mentality that I need to go into this with and stop looking at the numbers as like, well, I've lost something. I've lost 7 pounds in this round. Well, yeah, I've lost 7 pounds in this round. I gained more than 7 in the month that I was off. Which means I really haven't lost 7 pounds this round because so much of that was water retention at the beginning. I would say a good 4 pounds of it was probably water retention. Maybe 3 pounds. I don't know. Yeah, folks, I need to start pulling it together now. I need to start getting really serious. And here's the interesting thing. As I'm thinking about all of this morning, after I got on the scale, because I get on the scale first thing, and then I have to get myself all put together and get ready for teaching. And I'm thinking about it, and I just thought, well, what am I going to do? I still have all this lettuce. I have to eat up this lettuce. I do not go through that much of it when I make my tortilla or the taco and the lettuce I put on it. I mean, I put a ton so that the whole thing, it feels like it's a big ball of lettuce with like some flavoring of taco meat or shredded chicken, depending on what the other meat is in there. But I thought it's just not enough. I need to eat salads to eat through this lettuce because it's going to go bad. And I thought, okay, what did I just say to myself? I just did what we've been talking about and justified in my mind. I can't throw it away. I can't waste it. I have to eat it, even though this is good food. So there's the concept that we talked about. Our bodies are trash cans if you don't want to waste it, and you feel like, oh, I can't throw it away, so I'm going to eat it instead. you're throwing it away, but in your body. But in this case, with lettuce, it's not throwing it away by putting it in your body, right? Because lettuce is good for you. Unless that lettuce is coated with dressing, then yes, it's not good. I need to start practicing what I preach. Not that I'm really preaching it, I'm just finding it online and then sharing it with you. All right, so I also did a little look into, while we're on the topic, of net carbs. And sure enough, everything that I said, definitely at the Atkins site. So again, I had this Atkins snack bars, right? And I was looking at them saying, why does it say that it's only 2 net grams and 1 gram of sugar when here it says 19 carbohydrates and 9 dietary fibers? That would make 10 total carbohydrates. And then I saw the word sugar alcohol down here saying 8 grams, and I thought, oh wait, it's been a while since I've really since I've done Weight Watchers, or since I've done these kind of label, obsessive looking at label kind of things. Because usually when I diet, I do HCG, and that's just such limited. You're not using labels because you're not eating processed foods typically. Anyway, so the sugar alcohol has made me realize, oh shoot, I think I'm supposed to subtract that too. Well, sure enough, I go and I look on Atkins site, and it talks about how, like, this is how you're supposed to figure out your net carbs. You take your total carbohydrate, you subtract your fiber, and you subtract your sugar alcohols. And so then I decided to look a little deeper into the internet and see if everybody else is saying the exact same thing, or is that just, a marketing tool for them to sell good tasting snack bars and say that they're diet. There's a lot of mixed information on the internet, and a lot of people have different opinions and different ideas of things. But what I would basically agree with is I started looking more into websites for diabetics, because a diabetic really needs to get control of their blood sugars. And this is what we're talking about when it comes to carbohydrates, is in terms of the blood sugar level that you have. So I thought that's going to have the most reliable data, because you're not going to mess around and try to cheat somebody who's a diabetic into thinking that something is healthy if it's not. You're going to have some real numbers. And there is where I mostly found that indeed sugar alcohols are not absorbed in the bloodstream the same as other sugars. However, you should use half the number. So when you're counting carbs for the day, so say you are on a restrictive carb diet and it's 50 carbs a day, that in this case, where the box says 2 net carbs, you would take 19 carbohydrates. You would subtract the fiber, and there's 9 grams of fiber, so that would leave us with 10 carbohydrates. Then there are 8 sugar alcohols. We take half of that. So then we would subtract 4 from the 10. So this would have 6 net carbs, not 2 net carbs. And that's how we're supposed to be looking at carbs. So I found lots of information that I was going to share and read a lot of this different stuff with you. How to calculate it, what different kinds of sugar alcohols are there. All right, how many grams can you have? And it basically says keep it under 50. Some people go all the way under 30. But then let me just share one more thing that I found at the very end of this article. Well, let me scroll up to see what am I even reading here before I get down to this. This is, it talks about a keto diet, actually. It talks about a keto diet. This is a site on a keto diet, which is the other site that I was looking at too, or I shouldn't say sites. There were a lot of sites I was looking at that had to deal with diabetics, and then there were sites that had to do with if you're on a ketogenic diet. All right, so it talks a lot about soluble fiber, and it has mixed information about soluble fiber, meaning it even is controversial on whether you should subtract the fiber from the carbs as well, because they say soluble fiber doesn't get digested, but there are some studies that show that it can, and it can affect your heart in terms of being heart healthy. Scrolling through here now, trying to see if I can pull out any of those specific lines. Let's see. Another interesting line. It says the reason why people use net carbs as opposed to total carbs is because they believe that dietary fiber doesn't affect blood sugar and that our body cannot derive any calories from it. However, this claim isn't entirely accurate because it only applies to insoluble fiber, which cannot be absorbed and has no effect on blood sugar and ketosis. So when you look at the total amount of fiber on something, it doesn't tell you what kind of fiber it is. So just doing a clear subtraction of it from the carbs, it's really not that accurate. It goes on to talk about how, indeed, some fiber has calories in it, and they think that there's no caloric value, but some does, the soluble fiber as opposed to the insoluble fiber. All right. And then it explains the science behind all of that. I think this is where I found it talking about that digestion part. Let me just read this to you. Oh no, that's not it. That's not it. So it's a good article because it goes back and forth between different articles, how one says this and another one says this and one says this and another one says this. That being said, the person in this article does support the use of net carbs. So I found that interesting, like at the end, because I'm like, I feel like there's enough not misinformation, but contradictory information to make you kind of pause and go, I don't know if I should be dealing with net carbs. And this person said you should. Let me get to the sentence that made me go, oh. Uh, So now we're talking about a ketogenic diet. I'm sorry for the long pauses. I just have to keep scrolling as opposed to try to open up different tabs and then just read what I find, but a lot of this was in the same article. This isn't exactly the line that I saw because she had it written earlier in here. I wish that I could have just highlighted this somehow. I don't think I can though. It's too late at this point. But let me read this. This basically says the exact same thing. And that is, oh, now I just lost it as I'm trying to scroll to see what she wrote. Here we go. Okay. There are different opinions, even amongst the experts, whether or not to count total or net carbs, but also regarding the ideal carb level. Dr. Volek and Finney suggests that 50 grams of total carbs a day is enough to induce nutritional ketosis. And ketosis is the goal of being on a ketogenic diet. Ketosis is when ketones are released. It's a sign of essentially your body eating its own fat kind of thing, which we know is also happening in HCG. The HCG hormone helps stimulate that and helps curb your appetite, but there's also a natural process of your body just doing this based on how many carbs you're taking in. Okay. It goes on to say this is 20 to 35 grams of net carbs depending on the fiber content. Most people on a ketogenic diet successfully follow this approach. Now, that is the sentence that made me go, aha. So 50 total carbs or 20 to 35 net carbs. I always thought of net carbs as, well, as the new number you need to need, because you can cross off because you have these other good things in there, so it actually cancels out the carbs. So you're actually eating less carbs because of the good things happening with fiber here. But what they're saying is, yeah, you can use net carbs to count, but if you're counting net carbs, you have to count less of them. I always thought, like, okay, if you have 50 carbs a day as your limit, then it's 50 carbs a day as your limit. And then I would find things that had a lot of fiber in them and use that net carb number and still do my 50 carb limit a day. But you're not supposed to. You you're supposed to change and use less carbs if you're doing net carbs. So I think in the end the best thing is just count carbs and keep that number under 50. Otherwise you have to do 20 to 35 if you're going to be counting net carbs. But then you always have to worry about and think how much fiber is in here and how much of something else. Why worry about that? Just do carbs. Just do carbs. I guess the only benefit to doing that is maybe looking at a carb and realizing that you have something to counteract it and balance it off. That, like, maybe it makes it become a better carb, but not necessarily. It doesn't make it become a better carb. There's some like whole foods like a potato that you can't have a net carb number for. It just is what it is. And well, there should be some fiber in a potato, right? Isn't there some fiber in the skin? I don't know now. But in general, that number is what that number is, where you can get a processed food bar like this that has this other fiber added into it that can affect the number. Which also made me wonder, why are people just not taking fiber tablets all day long? If it's true that you can eat these net carbs and the fiber counteracts it, well, then you don't have to worry about whether there's fiber in the food, right? You can get a capsule of fiber and pop it in your mouth every time that you eat. So I found that interesting, and I'm like, how come there's not more talking about that? And I don't have the answer to that. It was just thoughts that all were coming to my mind as I was doing my research yesterday on fiber and how it counteracts the net carb number, thus giving you how it affects the carb number, thus giving you a net carb number. So yes, in general, sugar alcohols do not affect your bloodstream like other sugars do, but you shouldn't completely remove the number. At the minimum, you should take half that number and take it away from the total number of carbs. And if you are doing that too, then your carb count for the day also needs to be lower. Now, in general on HCG, we don't have many carbs, but this is where I have a battle with myself too, because he allows an apple or two a day. There's a lot of carbs in there. I guess there's fiber in the bulk of the apple too. Let me look this up while I'm talking to you. 2 grams of fiber in, oh, no. My nails are too long and I'm going today to get them much lower, but they're affecting my typing because I'm hitting other things, and instead of putting fiber in an apple, it said fiber in ale. So in a beer, you have the 2 grams of fiber. So there's 4 grams of fiber in an apple. All right, 4.4 to be specific. But there's like 20 something. We'll say 20. Although in medium size, I think it was 25 grams of carbs in an apple a day. So taking away 4, that gives you net carbs of still 20 carbs. And if you have 2 of them, that's 40 carbs a day. So if that's permitted and I'm not having the apple, Why can't I do this? Well, if you read the protocol, it says because you have to follow what I tell you to eat specifically to the letter of the law, and substitutions are not allowed. That's really the answer. I don't like that answer. So I really still want to do what I want to do. All right, that being said, twice yesterday I thought I was going to have a bowel movement, and I went to go to the bathroom, and then the feeling passed. And I'm not like most people. When I have a bowel movement, it's like urinating for me. When I have to go, I go, I sit down, I go, and then I leave. I'm out of there. People wouldn't even know if I'm urinating or having a bowel movement because it's the same amount of time. I don't have the really long period of time where I'm reading a magazine and struggling or waiting, or I'm not sure what takes everybody so long in there because my body's never been that way. Um, so yeah, there's twice I thought, oh, I think I have to go, and by the time I get to the bathroom, I'm like, no, feeling past. So I do know that there is some weight of waste that's in me. I also had 3 chicken breasts as opposed to 2 for that meal, so that affected it. I had extra fats by putting more salad dressing on something. I shouldn't have done that. And then there was mozzarella cheese, which I put on everything, but obviously I put on more in this huge salad than I would have put the dabble or sprinkling that I would put on a tortilla. So what does that mean? I'm not going to allow myself to have a big salad and put all those fats in my body again as a way to just eat up the lettuce that's in the house because I'm afraid of it going bad. No, I'm going to stick with the plan. Today, tortilla, chicken, cheese. Cheese. Maybe a dabbling of cheese. Maybe I'll even not even have it today to try to help me correct what I've done. But lettuce, lots of lettuce, and that's what's going to be my food for today. All right, a lot of rambling on this one as I'm working through things on my own as I'm talking to you. I am not a medical expert, clearly, as you can tell from this channel. So I'm just sharing stuff that I'm finding online with you. And you can make your own decision, and hopefully, this just spurs you on to do your own research. And if you have a medical background, let me just apologize to you right now for not using proper terminologies, I'm sure, and not having a complete and full understanding of these things. That has never been my intention of this channel. It's just sort of been a rah, cheer you on, keep going on your diet type of channel. And that being said, rah, we're going to stick with the plan. Not giving up, not throwing in the towel. Yes, I'm 13 days in on round 2. Technically lost 7 pounds, which I guess I could say I lost 7 pounds because on the first one, when I lost 17.8 pounds, you know, there was a lot of water retention and extra stuff involved with leading into that diet as well. So if I'm going to fully accept that I lost 17.8 pounds there, I will accept the fact that I have lost 7 pounds here, but this is half as much as where I was when I was doing round 1. And again, I'm not at the point of where I was at the end of round 1. So I need to start picking myself up by my bootstraps and doing what I know I need to do. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to continue to weigh myself on both the scales and give you a analysis at the end. I thought for certain my older scale I was going to give to my daughter, but now I don't know. I like the look of the older scale a little bit better. It's a little vanity. It just matches my bathroom a little better. But I need to look into what the other settings and readings are on the new scale. And if I find that beneficial, I might end up keeping that one. We'll see. All right. And we'll keep comparing accuracy. And then once I have some more data, I'll share with you the scale that I bought, the scale that I had before, and what I think of the two of them. All right, that's all for today. You take care. Have a wonderful day.